Hey everyone, James Moffitt here, coming to you live from Duck Ditch, USA. It's actually Goose Creek. I've said that before. They're not ducks, they're geese. And anyway, Happy New Year to you and your family. Today is January the 1st, 2026. 2025 is behind us. All the regrets, celebrations, positive things, negative things, dreams, all of that stuff. It's in the past, right? So all we can do is learn from our mistakes and do better and move forward 2026. And as you know, I'm doing this 30-day short video challenge. That's it. 30-day short video challenge. And I want to tell you that I am not someone that revels or reveres in idle chit chat. I'm not a social butterfly. I don't like talking about the weather or current politics or who's doing who for what, right? Weather, football, all of that. Those are good subjects to entertain. It's light conversation, but that's not what this 30-day challenge is all about. And so I want you to know that I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to challenge myself to get past the superficial and get into things that matter, things that make me tick. What makes me happy? What makes me sad? What makes me angry? What frustrates me? What depresses me? All that fun stuff that makes up everyday life. So today I'm wearing one of my daughter's, one of her favorite hats. Now I know it looks utterly ridiculous sitting on my head, even though it does cover up all the gray hair. But I wore this hat when I was on the Dad Hat Shenanigans podcast episode. I can't speak. It's coming out sometime in February. I think February the 15th, something like that. And it was a requirement that I wore a hat. And so I chose this hat because this was one of Jessica's favorite hats. She also had another hat that I still need to find. It's got a large sunflower on the side in the front, and she loves sunflowers. That was her favorite flower. So today I'm going to share an article that I wrote on medium.com. Grief changes everything. This is one of the most recent articles that I wrote. Jessica Ann Moffat was 10 years old when she died. She had two types of cancers. She went through a 14-month treatment journey back in 2000. And on September the 11th of 2001, had she made it that far, she would have been 11 years old. September the 11th has a dual meaning for Katie and I, my family. It's when the Twin Towers came down and 3,000 people lost their lives in New York City. Jessica Ann Moffat passed away on August the 5th, 2001. So 24 years later, I started a podcast called Father's Refuge. And Father's Refuge is for fathers who are experiencing grief and loss, or loss and grief. They kind of go hand in hand. They're sort of interchangeable. But it's for fathers who have lost a loved one, whether it be a child, a spouse, parent, close family member, whatever, to some sort of accident, sudden accident or illness, cancer, whatever it is, whatever ended their life and has caused loss and grief. I want Father's Refuge to be just that, a refuge for dads, fathers to be able to have a safe space, a safe place that they can talk about their emotions and they can talk about how their lives have been changed for eternity. And speaking of grief, we all know somebody that has experienced it. Grief is caused by loss, and sometimes that loss could be loss of a close relationship, not necessarily because of death, but a divorce, a separation, an estrangement, a loss of a career. You hear stories all the time where people are in a career job for 10, 15, 20 years and they get laid off. They get laid off because they are senior citizens. After 55 years of age, are considered a senior citizen, and a lot of corporate jobs consider senior citizens washed up, of no use anymore. They find excuses to let those people go. People lose their savings, they lose their pensions, they lose insurance, health insurance. And when you become a senior citizen like me, yes, a paycheck is important and it helps to pay bills. However, life insurance and health insurance, more specifically health insurance, has a very strong short-term and long-term need, especially if you're sick or have cancer or dealing with a long-term illness, right? So when you lose especially men that have been in a career for 10 or 20 or 30 years and they get laid off because of reorganization, or the company just doesn't want them anymore. And they just use whatever excuse they come up with to let you go. And so one of the things that men experience is a loss of identity. They identify with that job. Well, what do you do for a living? Who are you? Well, I'm an IT specialist. Well, that's my job, but that's not who I am. At work, I might be, that's who I am, but I'm James Moffitt, and I'm a Christ follower. I'm a husband to my wife of 36 years, almost 36 years. I'm a father to 4 children. I'm a writer, photographer, podcast host, podcast guest. So all of those things, those things I just spoke about are who I am, as well as what I do and what I identify with, the things that I'm passionate about, right? So grief and loss is not tied down to or predominantly about death. I think that's what I think we'll associate grief with is death. And while that is a very strong event, an emotional event in our lives that causes us a lot of emotional turmoil, it's been 24 years since Jessica passed, and I'm just now at a place where I can talk about the events that led up to her illness and 14 months of her treatment journey and then her finally passing. And some people, close friends and family, will come to you at some point meaning well, and they will say, it's been X amount of time, whether it be 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, 6 years, 16 years. You should be able to just get over it. Just get over it. Move on. Move on with your life. Live your life. That person is gone. I know you love them, but just get over it. Well, I'm here to tell you that that doesn't work. Grief lasts a lifetime. So you don't ever get over it. What you learn to do is you learn how to live life now. You learn how to live with it. You carry a large piece of that person that you've lost in your heart. That person leaves a giant hole in your heart, and that's what hurts. And there are triggers that you experience, emotional triggers. You'll be driving down the road and you'll see a eating establishment, restaurant, whatever that you used to frequent. You'll hear a song on the radio. You'll see a book that was one of their favorite books. You and your significant other will talk about sporting events and scholastic events in the life of your child. And there's many triggers, all sorts of triggers. And so initially, when you lose somebody, those waves of grief just come over you like a storm, and you are constantly reminded of the pain that you're feeling. So if you know somebody that's experiencing grief or loss, especially somebody that's lost a loved one, being silent and ignoring it is not going to help them. Encourage that person to talk about their loved one. Call them by name and just be quiet. Just sit with them and let them talk. Maybe they don't want to talk. Maybe they just need to process the pain. Maybe they need to cry. And men, it's okay to cry. We like to suppress emotions, and we like to push emotions way down deep. I said something that triggered this electronic gizmo behind my monitor that commenced to talking to me and telling me that it didn't know how to answer the question that I just asked. And the company, Amazon, that produces these electronic gizmos swears that they don't listen to you. They don't listen to your conversations 24/7. Well, I have proof that they do. They do listen, and they don't have to have the wake word, because Katie and I will be in the living room talking about something, and all of a sudden she'll just start just dribbling and blathering about God knows what. You're like, shut up. I didn't ask you anything. Go back to sleep. Leave me alone. Quit eavesdropping on my conversation. Anyway, that's kind of an aside. I'm sorry. I was talking about grief and loss. But yeah, if you have a loved one that's experiencing grief or loss, the best thing that you can do for them is just be present as much as possible. You know, if it's a couple, if it's a husband and wife that have lost a loved one, they have a family, they have other small children, just offer to babysit the kids and give them an opportunity to have some alone time, to go out on a date, offer to go buy groceries, offer to take out to do laundry, do some of the household chores for them and give them a break because they desperately need it. All right. Well, anyway, that's enough about me talking about grief. I can go on for hours, and I will revisit this topic from time to time. And I'm hopeful that this topic and what I have to say about it will help somebody, that it will provide somebody with some comfort, support. So anyway, Grief Changes Everything is an article that I wrote about Jessica. I'm going to share her picture. And let's see, window there, share. So that's Jessica Ann Moffat. That picture was taken when we were at Kissimmee, Florida, at Give Kids the World organization. It's Give Kids the World in Kissimmee, Florida is a organization that provides uh, parents with sick children an opportunity to go to they have like, I don't know, 50 acres or whatever, 30 acres of land, and they have condominiums and houses, and they actually it's part of Give Kids the World organization, and you get selected. We got selected. Jessica got selected, and they get you a rental car and gas, and they let you drive down to their place, Give Kids the World Village, and you spend a week. And there's all kinds of events, and there's places you get ice cream sodas, milkshakes, cheeseburgers, fries, all of the sort of eating establishments and fast food that kids like. And we actually went to Disney World, Orlando, Florida, and Jessica was able to experience Disney World and meet Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse and Goofy and all of the different characters. As a parent, because of the reason we were there, I really didn't get to enjoy Disney World, but I know my three kids, Jessica, Justin, and Christina, they had a wonderful time. All right, I'm back. I had to cough and get a drink of water. So anyway, that's Jessica Ann Moffat. August the 5th, 2001 is when she passed away. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to read the story in its entirety. It's a 7-minute read. Like I said, I wrote this and I put it up on Medium and Substack. It was August 5th, 2001, around 2 a.m. when I watched Jessica take her last breath. Jessica had been in hospice care for about 2 or 3 weeks, and we knew that the end was near. I held her hand and watched her leave this earth. 14 months previous to her passing, we took Jessica to MUSC Children's Hospital to have emergency surgery. At that time, we were living in Bluffton, South Carolina, and I was working for a law firm there. Jessica was riding her bicycle one day, and she fell off of it and broke her glasses. Turns out that was the beginning of the end. While we saved up for replacement glasses for Jessica, she started having other symptoms, such as constant headaches, nausea, and vomiting. When all of that added up, I realized we needed to take her to the ER on Hilton Head Island. After they took a CAT scan of her head, they found what appeared to be a baseball-sized mass in her head near the brainstem. We were encouraged to have her transported to MUSC Children's Hospital via ambulance. This was around 11 p.m. that night, I think. Specific times and dates are fuzzy at this point. We loaded up our other 2 children and followed the ambulance to Charleston, South Carolina, where they did emergency surgery at MUSC's Children's Hospital. Once the surgery was done, the surgeon said they got as much as they could, but since it was located near the brainstem, that we would be lucky if Jessica lasted 12 months. We were in and out of MUSC Children's Hospital for 14 months. Jessica received chemo and radiation treatments during this time. Towards the end, the doctors who were treating Jessica took us into a treatment room. We had our pastor join us because he was the director of chaplains at Trident Medical Center in Somerville. Pastor Tom was very familiar with these sorts of things, and we asked him to be there when they spoke to us about her treatments. The treatment team told us that they had done everything humanly possible to treat Jessica's cancer, and that there was only one more thing that they could do. They said a bone marrow transplant might cure her of cancer. They also said that she would be undergoing that treatment for approximately 4 to 6 weeks, and that she might be deathly ill the entire time, and it still may not be a cure for her cancer. The treatment team was very candid and did not mince words. After the meeting, our pastor broke down what they had told us in layman's terms. Jessica had a 1 in a million chance of surviving. I do not remember the specific type of cancer that Jessica had. One type was not that aggressive, but the other type was very aggressive, and it was going to be the one that would end her life. I just remember that blastoma was the end of the technical term. Something blastoma. I remember standing in Jessica's hospital room with Katie and telling her about our meeting. We were very emotional as we told her about the treatment team's findings. We told her that the bone marrow transplant would make her very sick and that she would have to be in quarantine for the entire time. We would not be able to have any physical contact with her as she underwent this procedure. We answered all of her questions, and Jessica said that she was done with the hospital and the treatments, and she just wanted to go home. We took Jessica home and made her as comfortable as we could. Hospice care came in and arranged to have a hospital bed put in her room and whatever supplies that she needed to make her comfortable. During the 14 months that Jessica endured all of the medical treatments, we also took her to our church home so that our extended family could surround her and pray for her healing. In all of my life, I have never prayed to God for something as much as I did during that 14 months. I cried, begged, pleaded, and bargained with God to heal my Jessica Ann. I spent several occasions walking down the road by my house, drinking beer and yelling at God for not healing her. Several times this was late at night and it was raining out. My neighbors probably thought I was the crazy man at the end of the road, and I was. Jessica handled her cancer and the impending death way better than Katie and I did. Despite the many inconveniences of medical treatment and spending many days in the hospital, Jessica always managed to smile and would laugh at my dad jokes. She would say, "Oh, Daddy, that was so funny," and her smile would light up the room. Jessica was very loving and tender-hearted. She would always try to protect her siblings when they would get into trouble. When one of us would ask the kids, "Okay, who did this or that?" Jessica would immediately confess to it, and the other two kids would point their fingers at her. I caught on pretty quickly as to what was going on. I knew that Jessica was not the one who was doing the things that they were accused of. Eventually, one of the other kids would fess up to whatever it was. Towards the end, we encouraged friends and family to come visit Jessica and spend time with her. At some point, Jessica got so sick that she was no longer able to go to church. When we did not show up for church, they understood why, but they never reached out to us. I finally called her pastor and asked him why no one was doing anything for Jessica. My pastor asked me what I wanted someone to do. I told him that she was near the end and very sick, and if anyone wanted to spend time with her, that now was the time. Once the pastor understood that and made an announcement to the church, they started coming to visit. We were told that people stayed away because they did not know what to say or do for us. They also were not aware of how much sicker Jessica had gotten. I told them that the best thing that they could do was just come around and be near her and love on her. Help out around the house by doing some housekeeping stuff. Watch Jessica for an hour so Katie and I could go out and get away from things for a bit. Really, it is just simple things that need to be done to give comfort. We were not expecting anyone to have any answers. We did not need treatment suggestions, even though those poured in by the hundreds. Everyone and their mother had supposed cures for cancer. "Why don't you try this or that? She will be instantly healed." I remember somebody told us about, I think it was shark marrow, bone marrow. Bone marrow was supposed to be one of the miracle cures. When Jessica took her last breath, I took by the bedside holding her hand. We had a family friend with us who had come to visit from Texas, and she was in the room as well. Peggy was a family member, or I'm sorry, Peggy was a family friend, and we had attended church with her in Houston, Texas. Peggy was very helpful during Jessica's last month of life. Peggy has since passed on due to cancer. I remember waking Katie up from sleep and letting her know our girl was gone. Katie went into Jessica's room, and I called our pastor, who said that he would call the funeral home and start the process. I guess it was sometime around 6 a.m. when the funeral home arrived and started the process of moving Jessica's body to the gurney. And I was encouraged to help them move her and walk her out of the house. The movement was very surreal. The moment was very surreal. It was very final. The next time we would see Jessica was at the funeral home. The funeral home workers made her look as nice as they could. Our pastor did the service, and during the service, I remember hearing a train whistle blow. As a train came through across the street from where we were at, in my mind's eye, I could see Jessica hopping on the train and waving goodbye. Every time I hear a train whistle, think of that. Yes, grief changes everything. At first, the pain is so intense that you feel like you cannot breathe. Jessica was not there physically in her home, but all her things were. All the good and bad memories stay with you and your other children. Even after hospice had all the medical equipment removed, I could still see Jessica in the bed. There will always be an empty chair at the table where she used to sit. The smile that lit up the room and the moments of laughter were gone. 21 years later, I still remember many things as if it was yesterday. The triggers are still there, but they are not as often as before. The pain is not as intense as it once was. Our family has been changed forever. Our marriage and faith took a hit and almost derailed us on several occasions. Somehow we managed to hang on to both. Our faith in God and our relationship stayed strong. Our hope is in God in heaven, and that one day we will be reunited with our Jessica Ann, who's now in heaven, dancing and having fun, being cancer-free. So one of the songs that meant so much to me as a father was written by Casting Crowns, and it's named "I'll Praise You in the Storm." If I could, I'd play the song for you so you could hear it. However, due to copyright issues, I can't do that. I will just say that in my mind's eye, as we were going through this 14-month ordeal with Jessica, I kind of felt like we were standing on a beach, and over the water, there was a storm coming, a violent thunderstorm. lots of thunder, lots of lightning, dark clouds, rain, driving wind. And the longer we went through this ordeal, I guess at some point I finally came to the realization that God was not going to heal Jessica Ann here on earth, that he was going to take her home. And I had to come to the realization that Jessica didn't belong to us. At some point, I realized that our little girl belongs to God and that he just lets us take care of them for a season, right? And anyway, I will praise you in the storm. Well, the storm has come and gone, and so has the intense emotions that come along with that. I still see the storm. It's still there on the horizon, but it's not as intense as it once was. So that's today's story. That's the story of Jessica Ann Moffat, her battle with cancer, a brain tumor for 14. Despite my pleading, begging, bargaining with God, he took her home. And it's my belief, because of my faith, that I will see her again one day. All right? Well, this is the video for today, January the 1st, 2026. And I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.